We've got some breaking news. Deshaun Watson has suffered a second Achilles tear, and he is likely out for all of 2025. So we're going to talk about what this means for the Browns moving forward and what it means for Deshaun Watson moving forward. Let's start with Watson really quickly and his future in Cleveland and honestly in the NFL. So the news started to come out at the beginning of this week when Andrew Berry at his press conference said Watson suffered a setback. And all of us kind of jokingly / not jokingly thought the Browns just told Watson, hey, take a little bit of a dive here, meaning we're going to pretend you had a setback. You're going to get paid. You stay at home. We'll get salary cap relief because of the insurance we picked up on your contract. And this is a little bit of a win-win for both parties. You're making money sitting at home, and we're just kind of beginning the process of ripping the Band-Aid off and moving forward without you. So turns out that was not a joke or a dive. It's obviously very real since he got a second surgery done on Thursday. This is what the setback that Barry was talking about. My guess is they just kind of wanted to see if they needed to get a second surgery and ultimately decided that was the best path moving forward. So I doubt we see Deshaun Watson play in 2025. When the news came out at the beginning of the week, I thought, okay, let's not rush to any conclusions here. There's a lot of time between now and the start of the next season and halfway through next season. Things can change, but to me, I don't see a path for him returning in 2025. One, from a medical standpoint, he got surgery for his Achilles in January. Now, the only comparison I could make is Dre Greenlaw for the 49ers. Remember, he popped his Achilles when he was on the sideline of the Super Bowl, and he came back to play towards the end of the season for the Niners. So that was him suffering an injury a month later than Watson's second surgery. So I guess from a medical standpoint, the Browns could get Watson back if they wanted to. I doubt they have much motivation to bring him back, which brings me to my next point. What's next for the Browns? Well, they have injury insurance, which means if Watson misses all of 2025, they will collect $44 million in cap relief for 2026. Now, Deshaun Watson's salary cap hit in 2026 is $72 million. On Friday, January 10th of 2025, here's my prediction. Deshaun Watson does not play for the Browns in 2025, and then a year from now, in the 2026 offseason, the Browns designate him as a post-June 1 release, and they are officially moved on from Watson with having only 1 year left on that 5-year contract. So I don't think we'll see Deshaun Watson play another game for the Cleveland Browns, and with that, I don't think we'll see Deshaun Watson play another game in the NFL. I am struggling to think of teams that would be lining up to call and go, we'd love the services of a guy who suffered 2 torn Achilles or 2 Achilles surgeries, a shoulder injury, which included a broken bone in your throwing shoulder. Oh, and on top of all that, the entire circus of all the legal proceedings and whatnot surrounding Watson. And you weren't very good the last time you played. Yeah, someone tell me which team is calling for that. I'm waiting. So I think Deshaun Watson's time in the NFL has come to an end. I don't think, and this is just a personal opinion, that Watson wants to be done playing. I don't think Watson's happy to just be, oh, I'm injured, I can just collect my check and stay at home. I think he's a very competitive guy, and I think he would like to be out there. This is not like a good outcome for him. He got a tattoo on his back with a spot for the Lombardi Trophy. I don't think you do that and then hopefully I can get injured so I don't have to play anymore and just collect checks. I know some of you probably think that way. I don't think so. I think Watson would prefer to play and prefer to be healthy, but ultimately just really bad injury luck from the shoulder injury to 2 Achilles tears in, the Achilles side of things, all of it really together in a 14-month span. That's just tough for anyone to come back from as he gets towards 30 years old. So his body doesn't quite recover as quickly as it did when he tore his ACL earlier, twice in his career at Clemson and then with the Texans. So that's likely the last we've seen of Deshaun Watson. I think his time in Cleveland is over. Now, next up, I want to talk about a few other implications of this along with the draft, because we all watched Notre Dame Penn State last night, and some people were begging for Drew Aller to to change his mind, enter the draft, and then the Browns select him number 2 overall. Have a tough time buying that right now. But first, I do have to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today, which is Game Time. If you are trying to go see a Cavs game, or maybe you want to make a last-second trip to the Cotton Bowl, or you're in the Dallas area and you want to go see Ohio State take on Texas, whatever it may be, use Game Time because they give the Dog Pound $20 off their first purchase when they use promo code CHATSPORTS. Now, I put all that information for you guys down in the comments and description of today's video. Terms apply, but again, download the Game Time app and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. If you're still on the fence a little bit, Game Time offers the Game Time guarantee, which means if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. All that information for you is in the comments and description of today's video. Game Time. What time is it? Game time. So let's talk a little bit about what we saw on Thursday night between the Nittany Lions and the Fighting Irish. This is basically what I have been preaching, that you don't just take a quarterback because you need a quarterback. And I know that might sound kind of dumb, but it's my honest analysis of you take a quarterback because there is a generational quarterback who you believe can turn around your franchise. For anyone looking at Deshaun Watson's new injury update and going, well, now the Browns really need to take a quarterback. Time out for a second. You don't take this recent piece of information and then use that to suggest, well, now the Browns have to go quarterback because they don't have Watson. One, no one wanted Watson anyway, so I don't think him being medically ruled out for 2025 is further reasoning to go out and select a quarterback just because Watson is injured now. Most of us don't want Watson to play anymore anyway, healthy or not. Next, there isn't a quarterback, in my opinion, and this is where it's just subjective, it's my opinion, that I think is worth the second overall draft pick in this class. I think Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders have a lot of pros to them. There's a lot of really good upside and whatnot, but I feel like the cons are too big to use the second overall draft pick on. Cam Ward is way too turnover prone. He's kind of got a hero tendency, and I feel like at the next level in the NFL, that is going to come back and haunt him. As for the pros, he's got a great arm. I think he has a ton of experience. He's been around the block. He's played at 3 different schools. He works really hard. I'm struggling to see the major pros that warrant the second overall pick on him, right? I think he's a good quarterback, but second overall has to be mind-blowing good, right? We have to value the second overall draft pick more. As for Shedeur Sanders, I think he holds onto the ball way too long. He takes way too many sacks. And I don't think he's just an overall impressive enough athlete to have the athleticism kind of cover up the tendency to take too many sacks and hold on to the football. I understand that people want a new quarterback, but I don't think what you want is to waste the second overall draft pick, take a guy who is clearly not cut out to be the next franchise quarterback of the Browns, and ultimately find yourself 1 year later looking for a new quarterback, and now you've basically gone 4 straight seasons without a first-round draft pick. Because wasting a first-rounder on Ward or Sanders and having them not produce for you is basically like not having a first-round pick at all. So I am in favor of what we mostly saw on Friday night or Thursday night, which was Abdul Carter wreaking havoc. I mean, he had some incredible plays, and if the Browns can't find someone to trade up and take their number 2 draft pick, I am okay with sitting at 2, drafting Abdul Carter, and putting together like a Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis type of tandem and getting Myles Garrett, who was just voted first-team All-Pro, paired with a guy who in his first season of playing the position tallied up 10 sacks in the Big Ten against those big farming offensive linemen. I feel like given another year or 2 of development and experience, Abdul Carter can really be a perennial Pro Bowl type player. I don't think he's going to be like a wow, can't miss, kind of like Garrett was coming out. There's a couple other edge rushers recently where you go like, those guys are just clearly head and shoulders above everyone else in this draft class. But I feel like Abdul Carter is going to be a 9 to 12 sack player. And that, kind of like Bradley Chubb a little bit, reminds me of, not from a playing standpoint, but from a ceiling of a player standpoint. That is more than fine with me. You could go Travis Hunter, we could talk about that, but for everyone that wanted to go Drew Aller, that was a tough night last night. And I thought Drew Aller showed a lot of promise in the Big Ten championship game, and maybe you could just try and put last night as a one-off and a bad night for him, but guys, the justification for taking Drew Aller second overall cannot be because he is from Northeast Ohio. We cannot allow second overall draft picks to be based off where they are from. They should be about who's the best football player. If Drew Aller was from Michigan or from California or Washington, would the noise to draft him be this loud? Absolutely not. I think it's in his best interest, and that's why he decided initially to go back to Penn State. There's things to work on. That's perfectly fine. Develop. Look like Jaden Daniels, right? He developed nicely, and he's having a really strong start to his NFL career. That's perfectly acceptable. Like, the conclusion of, or your assessment of Aller's profile does not have to be made up after this season for the rest of his career. He can work on things his last year at Penn State and have a really nice NFL career. But I don't think he is ready for the second overall draft pick by the Cleveland Browns. So that's going to do it for us on our home video today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're still watching, scroll on down, drop a CLE for me so I know the end of the video crew.